A2N Uganda is 15 years now, since 1990. It started as a project of the UNDP to being a fully fledged organization that is registered under the NGO in Uganda. It started with one person as the manager to the current staff strength of 50 members of staff, and we have now moved from one headquarter office to 6 up-country offices in 6 districts, and we are hosting also the regional secretariat for Africa, which is having a membership in 13 countries on the continent. We are also reaching out to 100,000 smallholder farmers in 10 districts of Uganda, which marks the journey of the 15 years the organization has made. The vision, mission, and the values that we espouse have been the pillars and the stairs that have guided the journey of our 15 years to date.
Right from its inception, Africa 2000 Network has been working with smallholder farmers, particularly in rural communities, to improve upon their livelihoods. Their life is characterized by abject poverty and lack of the appropriate knowledge, skills, and the basic capital to tap the otherwise richly endowed resource base in the country for development. As such, they are cautiously or otherwise agents of environmental degradation as they struggle to survive. Their practices have, for example, resulted into declining land productivity, reduced food production per capita, and an acute shortage of firewood and water amongst other resources that are central in their survival. And so, Africa 2000 Network encourages and facilitates these communities to map out, appreciate, and use the various resources at their disposal in a sustainable manner for a holistic development. To start them off, Africa 2000 Network Uganda organizes and provides them with the minimum critical package of the basic resources, which includes knowledge, skills, and provision of the actual production materials. Amongst them are low-cost technology inputs like improved seeds, farm tools, animal husbandry, and the provision of the revolving credit scheme for the farmers. As we now share, a lot has been achieved. Several farmers have been transformed from a purely subsistence status to market-oriented farming, conforming to 7 of the world's Millennium Development Goals and the Uganda government's Poverty Eradication Action Plan.
And now, the impact after the 15 years of A2N's intervention. 1. Reduced extreme poverty and hunger, contributing to the Millennium Development Goal number 1.
The journey began with equipping people with enough food so that with a healthy body and mind, together with a productive natural resource base, they can produce for the market. The following areas have been central in the success so far registered. Soil regeneration is a key intervention in breaking the perpetual poverty cycle amongst the communities. This has taken on many forms, including making trenches for soil and water conservation, mulching, crop rotation, planting grass bands, and double-dug gardens, amongst others. In Chisoro district, for example, repeated use of the small pieces has drained the soil nutrients, while the sloppy terrain has precipitated the surface runoff into the valleys. Africa 2000 Network Uganda has worked with several communities and partners to promote the use of manures. Terracing and growing grass bands with nitrogen-fixing plants. The plants also double as fodder for the animals whose fecal wastes are returned to revitalize the soil. This has resulted into a tremendous increase in output of both the quality and quantity of crop production.
Umusaruro bwaguri muke konka twatungire ente twahihamu manyuwa twayongera umusaruro twahingisa twayongera umusaruro turanywa nesente turabona mu hateze kugura umusaruro.
Now with productive soils, Africa 2000 Network Uganda has widely promoted the growing of both highly nutritious and income-generating crops. Farmer groups are given improved crop and livestock varieties that are fast-growing, high-yielding and disease-resistant as a seed loan. There is no collateral, but the commitment to pay back in the same unit. This fits the needs of the smallholder farmers who cannot afford the loans from the conventional banks. Farmers in various parts of the country have, for example, been given grafted passion fruits, improved banana varieties, Nerika upland rice, mosaic-resistant cassava varieties, and seed for vegetable gardening. This is intended to increase food security and widen their income base. By increasing both on the quality and quantity of food, the farmers have been able to develop enough food for the home and the surplus for the market. Farmers are also provided with high-quality animal breeds, such as hybrid goats and cattle, under the revolving scheme, so that each group member gets an animal at an appropriate time. These do not only produce high-protein food, but also produce dung and urine for making manure to replenish the soil fertility. Both the plants and livestock then complement each other in the production cycle, with the farmer as the prime beneficiary. With enough to eat, the farmers are mobilized to form associations through which they can collectively source for markets, mobilize local resources, and influence the prices and local policies. The farmers who benefited from the Haifa project in Kabale can, for example, sell their surplus milk to central dairy depots. In Iganga, the okra farmers have been linked to Icemark horticultural exporters who buy off all their okra. In Tororo, they have been able to sell all their groundnuts at very competitive prices. In such cases, the farmers have been trained and encouraged to develop a saving culture, particularly with formal banking institutions where, if they wish, may access the conventional credit facilities. With improved household incomes, more children are joining schools at various levels, and the families are able to accomplish several of their household chores.
2. Promoting gender equality and women empowerment, contributing to the Millennium Development Goal number 3.
Gender trainings are carried out to ensure gender mainstreaming in all the Africa 2000 network activities to benefit the whole family. The training is also aimed at ensuring that both men and women and their children own all the family enterprises. This has helped each of them to commit themselves to ensure success in the project and to share the benefits in a more equitable manner. In many cases, for example, the families access and utilize the production resources more equitably and appreciate the different gender roles and responsibilities.
Three, and in the Millennium Development Goals 4 and 5, A2N has contributed to reduce child mortality and improved maternal health.
Africa 2000 Network Uganda also recognized the importance of environmental sanitation and nutrition in development. The project emphasized the importance of good feeding and dangers associated with poor hygienic conditions. In Kamuli district, for example, a number of farmers who lived in a state of desperation were given a nutritional package to start them off. It included local birds that do well in the local environment, alongside other important areas of sustainable development. For example, in Ibulanku, one of the farmers who got 5 local birds now has 14, some already laying eggs.
Mama bano bakoze omulimo munene kale mpegano tulisobiramu ebintu bingi no tunabanga tulwanisa omulimo gwaife nitukola obulungi kubanga oti tuzira sente bulungi nga bwe muli tubona haye dibika amaji agoge entunda nakola nafunamu emere nadiga nagako n'abaana bona bali abo.
Other farmers got Frisian cows after planting enough grass for fodder and building zero grazing kraals. Those who can were encouraged to build fish ponds to start rearing fish. They built the ponds themselves and only got a seed loan of the fries. By the mid-review of the 2-year project, over 500 people had benefited, while many others were expressing willingness to join the project.
4. Combating HIV/AIDS, malaria, and other diseases is in line with the Millennium Development Goal number 6.
Realizing the dangers associated with HIV/AIDS and how it impacts on developmental activities, Africa 2000 Network Uganda embarked on sensitizing the families about the need for protecting and preserving one's health. Farmers have been exposed to the benefits of knowing one's serostatus for living positively, as well as the importance of caring for the afflicted and affected people so as to avoid stigma.
In Millennium Development Goal number 7, A2N works with communities to ensure sustainability of the environment.
Agroforestry is one of the natural resource management technologies promoted by Africa 2000 Network. In all the areas where they operate, the farmers have been trained to incorporate agroforestry activities in their mainstream agricultural activities, and a substantial number have planted ecologically friendly trees. Such trees have multiple uses, including firewood from the twigs, animal feed from the leaves, and staking crops such as banana and climbing beans. They also replenish the nutrients, farm it against erosion, serve as windbreakers, and are a key player in the rainfall cycle, amongst a long list of other roles. Energy is a critical resource in development. In rural areas, 90% of the energy resources come from wood, with no immediate substitute in the near future. The forestry resource is, however, deteriorating at a very worrying rate. According to the Forest Sector Review Survey and the Uganda Human Development Report 2005, the forest cover has shrunk from 108,000 square kilometers in 1890 to a paltry 49 square kilometers to date. At this rate of destruction, Uganda, once described as the Pearl of Africa, courtesy of its beautiful landscape, climate and physical features, many of which are forest-based resources, is destined for doom. To counter this negative trend, Africa 2000 Network Uganda has trained partner farmers to grow own trees and to make and use energy-saving stoves. They use less firewood, retain energy for a longer time, and can be used to cook more than one dish at any given time.
And finally, A2N promotes developing partnerships for development, which is in line with Millennium Development Goal number 8.
Africa 2000 Network Uganda has also been able to use partnerships to handle complex issues in rural poverty reduction. Through collaboration and networking, Africa 2000 Network Uganda gains experience and guidance, shares information and skills, accomplishes more tasks, and avoids duplication of activities. This has been the cornerstone of the success so far attained.
Our partnership with Africa 2000 Network starts a long way, 15 years ago actually, when Africa 2000 Network was still a UNDP project. They were the very first funders of environmental art, and now we have a very even closer working relationship, laying out plans for capacity building of other organizations together, and most of all sharing and documenting experiences that we have together evolved over the years.
This would not have been possible without a vigorous training campaign supported by a dedicated team of extension experts. Exposure visits and collaboration with other partners like government extension staff, CBO or other NGOs. Farmers provide extension services to fellow farmers but under supervision of the Africa 2000 Network Uganda extension system to provide the technical backstopping whenever need arises. In Tororo district, for example, the strategy of farmer field schools has been successful and has reduced the extension gaps throughout the district. Overall, the traces of success are visible, but too little compared to the demand for the services.
So organizations like Africa 2000 have to devise ways of getting alternative sources of funding, including from the private sector.